Our story begins in Seoul, South Korea. This is our protagonist, Sung Jin-Woo, an E-rank hunter. Near-death experiences have become a normal part of his life. Despite everything, he pushes forward, making his way through the crowd toward his next raid. A gate has appeared at a construction site in Seoul. Emergency crews surround the area while hunters prepare to enter. On his way to the raid, Jin-Woo can only think about his mother's hospital bills. What he earns from the Hunters Guild hardly covers the expenses. "Hey Kim," someone calls out. Kim didn't expect to see Baek at the site again, but Baek just laughs and says, with another child on the way, he needs the money. After all, nothing earns faster than a successful raid. Still, he's nervous. It's been a long time since his last dungeon. Mr. Kim notices Jin-Woo walking toward the site. The moment he arrives, the other hunters start greeting him in a mocking way. Baek gets confused at first. He thinks Jin-Woo might actually be someone important, but Kim just laughs and tells him the truth. Jin-Woo isn't famous for being strong. He's known as the world's weakest hunter. The hunters immediately start making fun of Jin-Woo, joking that he's weaker than everyone there, so weak that he can even get injured inside an E-rank dungeon. Jin-Woo doesn't even react anymore. He's heard the same insults so many times that they barely affect him now. Trying to ignore it all, he goes to grab a coffee. Guess his luck doesn't work here either. The coffee's already finished. Even something as simple as a cup of coffee feels like it's out of reach for him today. The worker apologizes, and Jin-Woo quietly walks away, disappointed. That's when Joo-hee notices him. The moment she sees his face, she already knows he got hurt again during a raid. Jin-Woo brushes it off like it's nothing. Joo-hee can't understand how he was the only one injured in such a low-level dungeon. Jin-Woo explains that the higher-ranked hunters didn't think they needed a healer, and he ended up paying the price for it. A little later, Song Chi-hyul steps forward and volunteers to lead the raid. The hunters agree immediately. Chi-hyul is experienced and respected by everyone there. No one questions his leadership. Jin-Woo and Joo-hee place their trust in him. Whatever waits beyond the gate, they'll face it together. So, with Chi-jo leading the way, the group finally starts moving toward the gate. As they pass by, Mr. Kim smirks at Jin-Woo. "Try not to get hurt this time." Jin-Woo laughs it off, but deep down, he quietly promises himself that today, he'll do his best. After the hunters enter the dungeon, one of the workers quietly brings up Jin-Woo again, still feeling bad they couldn't even give the guy a cup of coffee. And seeing even the weakest E-rank hunter here makes them realize this dungeon is probably around D-rank. One worker even admits that in all his years at the guild, he's never once seen Jin-Woo leave a dungeon without injuries. Inside the dungeon, while the other hunters fight the monsters, Jin-Woo is already injured once again. As Joo-hee heals him, she can't help asking why he still insists on being a hunter when all it does is put his life at risk. Thankfully, the raid seems to be ending soon. Joo-hee quietly sighs in relief. The dungeon is finally cleared. Mr. Kim jokes that Baek somehow survived, and Baek laughs, acting like the whole thing was easy. But while everyone else celebrates, Jin-Woo quietly looks around and realizes that once again, the only thing he contributed to the raid was getting hurt. Joo-hee asks him once more why he refuses to quit being a hunter. Jin-Woo just laughs it off, joking that he's only doing it for fun, otherwise he'd die of boredom. But deep down, he knows the real reason is too personal to say out loud. Joo-hee warns him that this fun of his is going to send him straight to the afterlife one day. Jin-Woo bursts out laughing, and Joo-hee immediately yells at him to stop before he opens his wounds again. Meanwhile, Song Chi-hyul discovers a magical core from one of the defeated monsters. A C-rank magical core is worth a fortune. But for an E-rank hunter like Jin-Woo, defeating a monster like that alone is impossible. After everything he went through, all Jin-Woo is left with is a single E-rank magical core. For risking his life, the reward feels painfully small. Standing there, Jin-Woo starts wondering if any of this is even worth it anymore. And then suddenly, someone calls out that they've discovered another entrance. The entire group moves toward it. Chi-hyul steps forward and stares into the darkness ahead. A double dungeon. So the rumors were actually true. But whatever's hiding inside feels completely different from the dungeon they just cleared. The air is heavier, dangerous. Beyond the entrance is nothing but darkness. No light, no sound. Just an unknown void waiting for them. Chi-hyul explains that if there's still a boss monster alive inside that second dungeon, the gate will never close until it's killed. Then he suggests something risky. They're already here, so why wait for backup? And honestly, there's another reason too. If more hunters arrive later, the rewards will have to be shared. Less profit for everyone. One of the hunters quickly objects, warning that this could be far too dangerous. So they decide to settle it with a vote. Chi-hyul agrees, but with one condition. Once the decision is made, nobody complains afterward. The votes are counted. Most want to continue. A few refuse. The decision is close. Joo-hee clearly looks uncomfortable and says she doesn't want to go. Chi-hyul smirks slightly. 8-8 so far. It's a tie. Then all eyes turn toward Jin-Woo. Chihyo asks him if he's going to join them. The final decision now depends entirely on him. Jin-Woo clenches his fist. He doesn't have enough money. Soon, he'll need to send his little sister to college, and his mother is still lying in a hospital bed. Everything he's doing for his family. Jin-Woo slowly looks up. His eyes are calm now, determined. I'm going. Just one more time. Let's do this. 40 minutes pass as the group ventures deeper into the dungeon. The atmosphere grows heavier with every step. According to Chihyo, they only have about 20 minutes left before the gate closes. Breaking the silence, Jin-Woo apologizes to Juhi. After all, his vote is one of the reasons she's here. Juhi brushes it off at first, but when he presses her, she finally snaps. She's furious. If that monster's attack had landed just a little higher, Jin-Woo would have died on the spot. Even now, most of his injuries were barely healed in time. Jin-Woo lowers his head. Deep down, he knows the truth. The only reason he's still alive is because Juhi is a skilled B-rank healer. Once again, he owes her his life. Juhi notices his guilt and asks him directly if he's really sorry. Jin-Woo quietly says yes. That answer seems to satisfy her. With a small smile, she suggests he buy her a meal sometime. And just like that, Jin-Woo freezes, completely caught off guard. Seeing his reaction, Juhi immediately assumes the worst and asks if he doesn't want to eat with her. Jin-Woo panics and quickly denies it, turning bright red in the process. Before the awkward conversation can continue, a voice echoes from the front. They found it. The boss room. The entire group gathers before a massive stone door, unlike anything they've seen before. Ancient carvings cover its surface, giving off an unsettling feeling. Even Mr. Kim can't hide his concern. He quietly asks Bak if this place feels dangerous. Bak's answer is simple. Yeah, but Chihyo isn't interested in turning back. He reminds everyone how far they've already come. Are they really going to leave empty-handed now? The hunters exchange glances. They've trusted Chihyo this far. His strength, experience, and leadership have guided them through everything so far. And so, they decide to follow him. Chihyo steps forward and makes one final announcement. This could be a dungeon no hunter has ever explored before. Anyone who wants to leave can leave now. As for him, he's going in. The ancient door begins to glow. Strange symbols flicker to life across its surface. Then, with almost no resistance at all, the door slowly opens. A cold darkness waits on the other side. Chihyo looks back at the group. Let's go. And one by one, they step into the unknown. The moment they step inside, something feels different. The room is already lit. Blue flames flicker from hanging lanterns, casting eerie shadows across the walls. Chihyo looks around in disbelief. In all his years as a hunter, he's never seen a dungeon like this. The group spreads out to investigate. As they move deeper, the true scale of the chamber reveals itself. Massive stone walls tower overhead, while countless statues stand silently along every side of the room. And no two statues are alike. Some hold weapons, others hold books, a few even hold musical instruments. The entire place feels ancient. Jin-Woo stares at the statues in amazement, but not everyone is impressed. One hunter admits it feels like they're being watched. Then someone spots it. At the very center of the room stands a gigantic statue, dwarfing everything around it. The hunter nervously jokes that it isn't the boss, right? Probably not. It's only a statue. But somehow, that answer isn't reassuring. The more they look around, the stranger things become. There's no sign of monsters, no traces of a boss, nothing. And Chihyo suddenly stops. Something has caught his eye. A magic seal. Before he can investigate further, someone calls him over. At the far end of the chamber stands an ancient stone monument, covered in strange symbols. Chihyo begins reading. The heading sends a chill through the room. The commandments of the Cardinal Temple. First commandment, worship the Lord. The second, praise the Lord. As the words are read aloud, Juhi suddenly grabs Jin-Woo's arm. Her voice trembles. The giant statue, it's moving. At first, nobody believes her. Then another hunter sees it too. The statue's eye just moved. It was staring directly at them. The room immediately grows uneasy. But Chihyo continues reading. The third commandment, prove your faith. And beneath it, a final warning. Those who do not follow these commandments shall never return alive. The temple falls silent. Jin-Woo immediately senses something is wrong. The atmosphere has changed. The air feels colder, heavier. As everyone stands frozen beneath the commandments, a deafening boom suddenly echoes through the chamber. The entrance door slams shut. No one says a word. There is no way back. Panic spreads instantly. One hunter loses his temper and storms toward the exit, calling the entire place insane. He doesn't care about the treasure anymore. He just wants out. Ignoring everyone's warnings, he grabs the door handle. Then, Chihyo's face changes. For the first time, genuine fear appears in his eyes. Stop. But he's too late. The moment the hunter touches the handle, blue energy erupts through the room. Something has been triggered. Something huge. A massive stone statue suddenly moves. A spear flashes through the air like lightning. Before anyone can react, it's already over. The hunter is dead. The entire group erupts in panic. The statues, they're alive. Jin-Woo stands frozen, unable to take his eyes off them. But Ju-hee notices something else. The giant statue's eye. It's moving. Watching, Jin-Woo slowly looks up, and then it clicks. The glowing eye, the commandments, the door, the attack. They're all connected. As he stares into that ancient gaze, a terrifying realization forms in his mind. This dungeon isn't random. It's a test. And for the first time since entering this temple, Jin-Woo thinks he understands the rules. Jin-Woo has always lived on the edge of death. On his very first raid, he got separated from his party and was left alone in the darkness with no way out. On another raid, an E-rank monster struck him from behind and sent him to the hospital for weeks. He was even trapped inside a dungeon once and nearly starved to death. And the worst part? These were all low-rank dungeons. Yet every single raid still demanded his life. Other hunters invest in themselves. They use magical cores to buy better weapons, hunt stronger monsters, and earn even greater rewards. Jin-Woo can't do any of that. Every magical core he earns goes somewhere else. So he enters raids with almost nothing. No proper equipment, no reliable weapon, no healer, just himself. Every single time. Outside the dungeons, people talk about him like he's a joke. They say he came back injured again, this time from a mere E-rank dungeon. They even pity the healers who have to work twice as hard because of him. These days, everyone knows him by one name, the world's weakest hunter. Sitting alone nearby, Jin-Woo hears every word, but he doesn't react. Maybe because, deep down, he understands exactly what kind of life he's been living. No matter how many times he got hurt, Jin-Woo kept coming back. He endured the ridicule, ignored the insults, and continued risking his life for almost nothing in return. Suddenly, a burst of energy erupts through the temple, snapping him back to reality. Ju-hee's eyes widen in shock, and Jin-Woo's instincts immediately scream at him. He yells for everyone to duck. The hunters drop, just as a massive blast tears through the room. One hunter is struck directly, while Jin-Woo throws himself in front of another to shield them. The wall behind them explodes, debris flying everywhere as the entire temple shakes. As the dust settles, panic spreads. The laser flashes past, and a severed hand hits the ground with a thud. One glance at it is enough to send a nearby hunter into absolute panic. Some hunters realize that if Jin-Woo hadn't shouted, they might all be dead. Ju-hee is trembling uncontrollably, overwhelmed by fear. Chio orders everyone to remain exactly where they are. Nobody stands. Nobody moves. If they do, it might attack again. Through the smoke and debris, someone calls out to Mr. Song. Jin-Woo kneels beside Chihyo as he explains Ju-hee can't handle fear very well, limiting a B-rank healer to only basic raids. Chihyo looks up at the looming statue. This is far from a basic raid. Turning to Jin-Woo, he states that only those who moved or killed every survivor had followed his words. He pauses. Is that true? Chihyo asks Jin-Woo if he warned them because he knew what would happen. Jin-Woo denies it. He only felt danger. Jin-Woo freezes in shock. Jin-Woo points out that Chihyo's arm is badly severed. Chihyo brushes it off, saying he'll be fine, and tells him to stop the bleeding. He then asks about the dungeon's rank. Jin-Woo admits he has never entered anything higher than D rank. Jin-Woo wraps his bleeding arm. Chihyo says he's only experienced rank dungeons a few times. But this place is beyond that. Much beyond. Everyone slowly looks up at the enormous statue standing in the center of the room. Even B-rank dungeons don't have monsters like this. Chihyo studies it carefully. At first he thinks it's a rank. Then he pauses and corrects himself. Maybe even S rank. Their eyes drift back toward the commandments carved into the stone. Worship the Lord. Praise the Lord. Prove your faith. Those who fail to obey will never return alive. The room falls silent once again as the giant statue watches over them, its glowing eyes unblinking. Jin-Woo's mind races, connecting the pieces one by one. Nothing in this temple is random. Leaning closer, Chihyo quietly says something that sends another chill through the room. If it truly wanted us all dead, it would have killed every one of us already. 10 years ago, the sky split open, and gates began appearing around the world. Since that day, humanity has never been the same. These gates were tunnels, connecting our world to something far darker. And with them came a new kind of person, hunters. People who entered those dungeons, fought the monsters inside, and made it their life's work. There was one cruel rule. The strength the person received when they awakened was fixed. It couldn't be trained, improved, or increased. And the power Jin-Woo awakened with, it was so weak, he barely qualified as a hunter at all. Sometimes, the gates unleash something far beyond anyone's expectations. No warning, no time to react, just death. Earlier in this very dungeon, one hunter was hit with such overwhelming force that there wasn't even a body left behind. Jin-Woo glances at Chio's injured arm and asks if he'll be okay. The bleeding still hasn't stopped. Chio gives a grim smile and admits there's nothing they can do about it right now. Then he says something that makes the situation even more terrifying. He only brought 3 healers because he genuinely believed this raid would be over quickly. Nobody expected anything like this. The attack was so devastating that one of the hunters didn't even leave behind a body. All that remained was destruction and stunned silence. Nearby, one of the hunters completely breaks down, desperately begging to be saved and repeating over and over that he wants to live. Watching him, Chihyo quietly realizes something. Even Juhi, a talented B-rank healer, has probably never faced a situation this horrifying before. Right now, healing wounds isn't even the biggest problem. Juhi herself is standing there, trembling, barely holding herself together. The giant statue stands in complete silence, massive, motionless, and the hunters slowly reach a terrifying conclusion. Maybe the safest thing they can do is absolutely nothing. The group huddles together in fear, asking the one question nobody can answer. Why is this happening to them? This was supposed to be a simple, D-rank dungeon dot, but Jinwoo's mind is somewhere else. Chihyo's warning keeps echoing in his head. Move, and you die. Yet staying still forever isn't an answer either. Deep down, he knows the truth. Whatever this place is, it was never going to let them leave that easily. Suddenly, one of the hunters snaps. He's not going to die here. Not after finally earning a place in a real guild. He still has something to live for. Then he says the one thing he's always been confident about, his speed. Before anyone can stop him, he starts running. Chihyo immediately screams at him to stop. Not to move an inch, but it's too late. The hunter is already sprinting toward the door. A beam of light tears through the room. And in the next second, the hunter is gone. Nothing remains except a pair of shoes sliding across the stone floor. The entire room falls silent. The surviving hunters stare in disbelief, unable to process what they just witnessed. The giant statue's eye continues, glowing in the darkness. A horrified scream echoes through the chamber. Someone curses under their breath. And then Jinwoo finally says what everyone has been too afraid to admit. These things could kill all of them whenever they wanted. Chihyo doesn't disagree. He stares at the towering statue and answers quietly. They could crush us, easier than bugs. One of the hunters mutters that these things could wipe them all out in an instant. Jinwoo asks the obvious question, then why haven't they? Nobody has an answer. But Jinwoo keeps thinking. There are two threats in this room, not one. The guard statues attack anyone who approaches the door, and the giant statue fires its beam whenever someone moves. Yet something doesn't add up. If these statues are powerful enough to kill everyone here, why are they holding back? Normal monsters attack the moment they see hunters, but these things are different. They're following something, a rule. Jinwoo's eyes move across the room, replaying everything that's happened since they entered. The attacks, the timing, the conditions. Then he sees it, a pattern. His mind races. No, it can't be. There are rules governing this place. And suddenly, it clicks. The commandments, the ones carved into the stone monument. This whole room is built around them. Jinwoo immediately shouts across the chamber. What was the first commandment? Caught off guard, Chihyo struggles to remember. Worship the Lord. At that moment, the giant statue's glowing eyes seem to react. Lord. That word's echo in Jinwoo's mind. If he's right about this, everything changes. Chihyo stares at him like he's gone completely insane. Are you out of your mind? He warns Jinwoo not to move. Whatever he's planning could get him killed. Then Chihyo realizes something. Those aren't the eyes of someone who's given up. They're the eyes of someone who has figured something out. The giant statue remains perfectly still, watching him. And in that moment, Jinwoo finally understands. These statues don't attack people simply for moving. They attack people who fail to follow the rules.